I think we hear conflicting signals. President Trump says one thing. Secretary Pompeo puts 12 conditions for negotiations with Iran, which means surrender. And I think he should be dreaming.
But he has held out the hand. He said, gave a compliment to President Rouhani, saying, I imagine he's a very interesting man that he would like.
He didn't say interesting man. He's a lovely man.
Lovely.
But I don't know at what time of the day he said that, morning, afternoon.
He's offered a new set of...
No, he didn't. You see, we negotiated not a 2-page document and a photo op. We negotiated a 150-page document. Every detail is spelled out. I can assure you, as somebody who negotiated it, and you can ask John Kerry or any of the European foreign ministers who negotiated the deal, or Federica Mogherini or Cathy Ashton, nothing can be done that is better than this deal. It's not all we want, and certainly not all the United States want. But it is the best that could be achieved between 6 world powers plus EU and another country which is proud to stand on its own feet.
Some of your colleagues have made it clear that once America pulls out of the deal, it's going to be very hard to keep the deal alive because of the mounting economic pressure at home, which, as you know, is also creating more political pressure at home. How much longer can the deal survive?
Well, I'm not a fortune teller, so I don't know.
You said yourself that your patience is limited.
It is limited because, as I said in my statement, we derive our security from our people. So it is very important for us to keep the people satisfied with what we're doing.
But they're not.
Now, we're not.
And it's not just because of sanctions, it's because
it's primarily
corruption, economic policies.
all of that, yes. All of that. We're not saying that we're a perfect country. We're better than most of your allies, but we are still have a long way to go. But what is happening in our region and what is happening in Iran requires a great deal of foresight, a great deal of strategic patience. And we are exercising that. It doesn't mean that we will have to do it forever. Whenever our people are dissatisfied, now the polls are at about 51%. We are just at the brink. 51% of the people believe that we still should be in JCPOA, while 80% of the people believe that we didn't get anything from it.
And your hardline critics who've never trusted this deal, including, I would believe, your Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, the pressure is mounting on those who negotiated the deal to say, right, let's go back. Let's start enriching.
Yeah, there is pressure by a part of the population, but as I said, according to the latest poll by University of Maryland, at least, still 51% say we should stay in the deal. That may change. Situations may change. We believe it is in our interest, but we believe it is at the same time in the interest of Europe to stay in the deal. And that is why I believe Europe we appreciate that Europe has done a great deal politically. It has made all the right political statements. Some of them we don't agree with, but on JCPOA at least we can agree on JCPOA. But it hasn't been prepared to make an investment. It hasn't been prepared to pay a price. But let me ask you a question. As Europe, if you allow the United States to make these demands, because the US is demanding Europe to violate international law. It's not demanding Europe to abide by international law, but it's demanding Europe to violate Security Council, and it's punishing Europe for implementing it. So this is an outrageous demand. If the United States were to come in the course of their fight with China and told Europe, stop dealing with China, what would you do? Well, whatever you want to do then, do now in order to prevent that eventuality, because a bully will get bullier if you succumb.
Well, let's we'll put aside the JCPOA because there's a fundamental disagreement between the United States and Europe on it. But there are issues on which they have shared concerns. Let's look at ballistic missiles. We heard from the French foreign minister on Friday saying we are in a difficult dialogue with Iran, and if we do not see more progress on, France, as you know, has suggested a separate deal agreement on ballistic missiles. He said if we don't make progress, France will have to impose new sanctions.
Well,
Iran have to address those concerns if it wants to make wider progress.
Let me ask you a question.
I asked you one first.
No.
Yes.
I'll answer your question. Does Iran have to simply lie dead because some people don't want us to be able to defend ourselves?
The UN Security Council resolution behind the Iran nuclear deal called on Iran not to develop ballistic missiles.
No,
So
it didn't.
talking about
It
it urged
my
you
friend,
not.
I negotiated 2231, so I know every word of it. It called upon Iran. It didn't demand Iran.
It did
not,
call on Iran, yes.
Not to develop, so it's something different, not to develop ballistic missiles that are designed to be capable. Every word of it took months to negotiate. Designed to be capable to carry nuclear weapons. We don't design any of our missiles to be capable to carry nuclear weapons because we don't have nuclear weapons. So none of the Security Council nonsense. The Europeans know it, the Russians know it, even the Americans know it. The Americans have testified before Congress when the deal was on that it's not about missiles per se. It's about missiles designed to carry to be capable of carrying nuclear weapons.
What they're saying now is
we negotiated forever. But let's wait a second. Problem is, there are $100 billion of weapons going to Iran. Nobody is selling us a single fighter jet. Nobody. How are we supposed to defend ourselves? When we were attacked by French Exocet missiles, by German chemical weapons, by Russian MiG fighters, by British tanks, by American AWACS surveillance, who came to our assistance? Why, when our people were being showered with missiles, with Iraqi missiles, nobody gave us a means of defense, either air defense or missiles to retaliate? No one. We had to beg. Now, I am not going, for the pleasure of my friend, Minister Lodrian, or anybody else, to make our people defenseless so that the next Saddam Hussein in our region could rise up and kill our people without the means of our defense. We still have people who cannot breathe in Iran because of the chemical weapons that were provided to Iraq from Europe. If we were to negotiate about armaments, Europe has a lot to respond to. Europe is not going to be in the Inquisition seat. Europe will be asked why it supported Saddam Hussein.
Okay,
why
we can't go back into
the bombing in
Let's
Yemen.
not go back in history. We've got enough on the current. Let's ask this. So the United States objected to your recent, has to be said, failed satellite launches, saying the technology used could be interchangeable with technology used in ballistic missiles. Then
the argument about missiles is misplaced.
Yes, but then
satellite launch is...
The New York Times published a report saying that actually there's been a very long-standing and an accelerated program to sabotage your development of ballistic missiles, providing faulty parts, etc. Iran is looking into this. Is there, do you think now...
We're investigating this, but I think more than Iran, the international community should be concerned, because last time the United States engaged in that operation, it resulted with Israel in the killing of 6 nuclear scientists. I think it is important for the international community to rise up and say that this is not jungle. We don't run the law of the jungle.
Okay.
That you interfere in the legitimate defense of another country. I ask you a question. Does Iran have the right to defend itself? And if we have the right to defend ourselves, do we do it with swords? Do we do it with guns? Or do we need sophisticated means of defense? The most sophisticated means of warfare are being sold to our region, and President Trump conveniently calls them beautiful military equipment. Now, we're not getting any of those beautiful military equipment. The beautiful military equipment the Yemenis are getting. They're being killed with it.
Okay.
I don't think they call it beautiful.
Okay, missiles is one issue. We don't have a lot of time. I just want at least to touch on some of the issues that both Europe and the United States agree on. Last month, the Europeans...
They're simply repeating the American claims. Why they agree on? this is...
But they wouldn't do it for the sake of doing it. They obviously have concerns.
Tell me, any European should tell me, because, this didn't come out of the blue. We had these discussions during the JCPOA, and we decided, because each one of us had something to say, we decided to set it aside.
Okay,
it's not that somebody has all the right and somebody is just doing mischief in our region.